So you've just received your Myo Lux. This is our large outdoor sauna that is 3 to 4 person, and it comes in 8 boxes. Please be aware that the 8th box is the sauna stones themselves. The larger boxes are the ready-made front and back sections of your sauna, and then these smaller, heavier boxes are just wooden slats. So if they've been delivered and you're struggling to move it, please open them up, and each individual slat is very light, so you should be able to move it to where you want to build your MyoSauna Lux. Now we're going to go through a step-by-step tutorial so that you know how to build it. When building the Myo Lux, make sure there's a minimum of 2 people. 3 is more useful, but a minimum of 2. Today I have Ed helping me with this build. In box 7 out of 8, it's a smaller box, you will find this leaflet. It has 2 QR codes on, one for instruction manual and the other that we highly recommend using, your YouTube video. That is what you're about to watch now. Also within this packet, you have all your screws, nails and bits you'll need to assemble your MyoSauna Lux. So first, we are going to build the Myo Lux base unit. These large curved sections are in box 5, and then the smaller planks of wood are in box 3. So once you open them up, you will see these, be able to grab them, and you will require a drill and some screws out of the packs. So out of your bag that had your leaflet in, there is different size screws. So we have lots of screws. This is to screw all of the slats in, and then we have some extra long screws. For the base, we're going to use the extra long screws. Also in box 5, there is 2 big wooden staves, and we need the rounded one. So there's one with rounded edges on both sides, and this is your middle slat that's going to go through. And we're also going to use it just to attach our base and give us a little gap underneath. We're now going to use a rounded stave to just align our slat of wood with our base. So we're basically going to place it on top just to give us a little bit of a gap underneath. Then we're going to slide the curved piece, which has pre-drilled holes in, and this will now align that we can drill in to the support. So now that we've aligned the piece of wood and we've placed it on the rounded stave and pre-drilled holes are ready to drill, we need to do 2 on each side. So we'll go straight through and in. Not too tight, just till it nicks, and that's one side done. There is 2 of these on all 4 corners that needs to be screwed in. So now your MyoSauna base is made. We are going to need a measuring tape, and we are going to attach the rounded stave we just used to give us some lift on one of the supports. So now we're going to measure from each side of the curved wood. So this length here is 149. We're then going to halve that measurement and then mark the middle of the curved wood. And this is where we're going to place our first stave. We will repeat this on both sides on the curved wood. So on each stave, you will have a waterproof side that is weatherproof and just a normal wooden side. We always want the waterproof side facing outwards for the elements. So we're going to place the waterproof side down and place it with the wooden stave on the middle of the line we've marked. So we're trying to just eyeball the middle of the line. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then the other key thing we want to see is the distance of overhang to the first wood. We want it as similar as we can get it. And to do this, if you just measure up to the first bit of wood, that's 23 centimeters. On the other side, it's around 20.5 centimeters. So we've got to shimmy it this way a little bit. So if we go for 21.5, again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but 21.5, and then the other side again is 21.5. So now we know that's equal, and we're going to drill this in to give us our centerpiece to start building. Now we're going to get the big bag of screws. So this is to screw in all of your staves, and we're going to start by screwing in our base plate, and then off this we're going to build each stave up the side. When drilling the first holes, you can either do a small pilot hole and then drill through, or if not, you drill in and out several times to give yourself a clearance hole. So you go in a little bit, then reverse it out a little bit, in a little bit, out a little bit, and then we drill it in, and we just go just below the line, just to get it in, and now we're solid. So now you're going to get some more of your staves, which is longer, rounded pieces of wood. As you'll see, the difference from the first piece is that there's one inner groove and one rounded edge, and please remember, one side has been weatherproofed and the other side is just natural wood. So like we did before, we're going to place the weatherproof side down, and then the groove is going to slot into the groove next to it. If you want to hammer it to tighten it up, you can do. If one slightly doesn't fit, just slide another one in, and you can tap them in with a hammer to neaten them up. And then we are going to screw every 3 to 4 pieces down into the base to give us a bottom arc of the floor now. Another key thing to remember is we need these sections here, the built-in grooves, to align. So we can't have them out of alignment. They need to be as close to aligned as perfectly as we can. You can do this with your fingers and then tap into place, and then we get another stave and we repeat the process again. So we're going to line it on, get this nice and aligned, place it down, and if we need to give it a little tap, we can into position. Ed is going to repeat this on the other side. Once you've finished the floor, you'll find you get to the end of your base of this curved edge. What we want to do is place your last stave on it, align it again as we have on all of them, and then we're just going to put one screw in just to secure this piece, because next we are attaching the front and the back walls. Now we are going to get the back of your sauna. This is located in box 1, and what you will need is a partner, 2 or 3 of you, bring it over and place it into the ready-made groove on the base of your floor. So now we've got the back wall out of box 1. Key things to be aware of is you want the backrest and the air vent at the top. This means it's the correct way round. Me and Ed are going to lift this up and place it into the pre-cut groove along the base of your MyoSauna. So it takes a little bit of manoeuvring to make sure this slots into all the grooves. Something to be aware of is this corner isn't going in because we're too far over on the other side. So we're going to have to lift this up and try and make both sides go into the grooves by making it even and make sure that it's square and in the middle. So it's important that we get all of the grooves to sit in. If we have to unscrew and just reposition a little bit to make sure it slots in, that is fine. But we want it to be nice and square so that the curves are very similar on both sides and both corners are sat into the floor. When this happens, it means that you should be able to let go of the back wall and it stays up by itself. If this doesn't happen, it's no major problem, but you just want to make sure it's all correctly in. And then if Ed held it with one arm, I could then put 1 or 2 more slats in and drill through into the wall like I'll show you now. But ideally, we want it to be able to stand up by itself. So now we've got your front wall with your door out of box 2. Please be careful when getting out of box 2, as this door can swing open. So we recommend having it flat on its back so that we can obviously lift it without this swinging open. If it's the wrong way round, this could swing open and cause an issue or a hazard. So please lay it on its back, open the box correctly, bring it out, and as you turn it upright, be careful, have someone holding this gently so it stays closed. Now me and Ed are going to repeat what we did with the back wall, but now with the front wall, where we lift it up, we go into the pre-cut grooves and we slide it down. And as you can see here, we're too far my way. So my corner is out and Ed's is already fully sunk in. So we're going to move it more towards Ed. We're going to lift it up, go a bit more towards you, Ed. Lift your side until we get it nice and even. It is useful when moving the front wall to get some masking tape and place it on in a few spots to keep this door closed so it's not swinging when we're moving it into place. Again, like the back wall, take some time to make sure either side is correctly in the grooves and you have a similar distance poking out so that it's nice and square. You will know when you've got it correct because once it's all slotted in to the pre-cut grooves, you should again be able to gently let go of it and see that it stands by itself. If this doesn't happen, it means that one of your sections isn't slotted in. So get in, make sure we're working it down, and you should feel it push down into the grooves cut out. And as a result, when you let go, stay close, but it should hold up by itself. Now we're ready to put in some more staves up either side to secure them. So while Ed is holding the front and back square, we're going to slide the corner pieces on, and we want to make sure that we slide them in onto the wood. We have good pressure so that it's a nice curve, and then we're going to drill through just to keep it in place. Again, not too far, but we want it nicely in place on this curve. We'll do another couple, secure it, and then we'll repeat on the far side. So same again on the other side. Ed's going to make sure it's nice and square. We're going to just place 2 more of the staves into position. What we want is the grooves of the wood to go in with a tap. Also tap them down. And once that happened, we'll get the second piece. If this one is awkward and seems to keep coming out, you can drill directly into this first one, or you can wait till you get a second piece. give a tap with the hand, and now as you can see from this section, it's nicely curved, it's nicely tapped into position. We're going to just secure it with a screw. And we'll repeat this on both sides. So now that we've secured the front and back wall fully into position with 2 more staves either side, we then need to go to box 5, and you'll find these 2 staves with a pre-cut hole. This is an air vent hole. You then need to go to your accessories box and get the metal air vent, and we're going to place these in when you look at the MyoSauna on the right hand side. This will create an air vent for your sauna stove. An important thing to note is that on the metal air vent, we want it facing down. This is a rain cover, so as the rain comes on, it will drip down. We don't want it upside down that water goes in to your sauna. So when we're placing this into the gap, we want it facing down so that rain will go off. So we place that inside, into position, and then we'll get the top stave. And then we're going to drill both of these into position to keep it nice and neat so we're ready to go. And then once these have been secured into place, we're going to square up the metal vent hole and then just gently put some screws in. You don't have to do it tight, we just want to gently nick it in, and that's fine. Ed is going to work one side of the MyoSauna Lux and myself's going to work the other. So all we're going to do is place each stave in, get it nice and tight, make sure the grooves go over the front and back wall, and then every 3 to 4 pieces again, we're going to drill in for security, and we're going to walk all the way up towards this top curve. So these should slide in onto the front and back wall, and when they go in, we just want to make sure we tap them down, make sure they're nice and tight, and again, we will drill them every three times, but front and back. Then we'll get our next stave and we will repeat. So the finished side is on the outside, the normal wood is on the inside. We're going to place it into the gaps, tap it in, and then we'll drill. So once you've done your side walls and screwed them in every couple of slats, we are then going to get to this corner piece. Ideally for the corner, you want a stool or a ladder so that you can continue around onto the roof. But Ed is going to pass me each stave at a time. I'm going to screw all of these around the bend to keep them in nice and tight as we work over the top corners. So as we get to these top corners, we're going to continue like we have done by placing them in. But if you come close up here, you can see we want it to actually arc. So we need to give it a little knock into position to go around the bend, and then we're going to screw it in. And each time we're going to tap it round the bend so that it goes in nice and tight. So as you can see now, we are tapping it so it continues around this arc. And each time we do that, we are going to screw each one in. It might need a tap with a hammer to get into position. So we're going to keep continuing around the bend. Once we get towards the top corner of the bend, we are not going to screw in every one. We're going to continue to every 3rd or 4th because we're going to have a middle piece that we might have to loosen some screws to get into position before we then screw them all down. So continue to tap them in, work them around the bend. If for any reason it's not going in on the bend, just change the angle of your drill. Instead of going straight in, you go down towards the wood to pull it in tight. You can also use a hammer to tap into position. So once we've completed the left-hand side arc, we are now going to do it on the right-hand side. Remember to screw in each corner and tap them into position with a hammer if needed. We want them nice and tight on the bend. As you come out of the top of the bend, we don't have to screw. We can go to every 3rd again, working our way along until we get towards the middle of the roof, and then we'll explain how we finish it off. So once we've done the roof and we came over the arch and we've got to about halfway on one side and about a quarter of the way on the other side, we're then going to collect the final middle section of the roof. And as you can see, it's the opposite of the middle base piece. It has two inner grooved sides. So they are both grooved. And what we're going to do is we're going to place this in on one side and tap it into position. We are not screwing this down yet. What we're going to do is keep building out the other side until we get into a position that we can tap it all in and flat. So when you put your middle section in and you build out, you might find that you've just got a really small gap, probably a centimetre, centimetre and a half. This, to fill the gap, is just to make sure we haven't screwed these top boards in, and we're going to loosen each one just so there's a little gap between them all. Remember, these get tiled and covered, so from all sides of the roof, we're just going to make a tiny few millimetre gap all the way along until we get it pictured like that. Well, there's small gaps, but that's fine because we're going to waterproof this and put our tiles on to make sure it fits. So now what can happen is you have a section that is almost the right size as your stave, but not quite big enough. So what we're going to do is, with the middle section that has the two grooves cut out, we're going to lift that up to 45 degrees, and we're then going to place a stave in and slot it on the one that is already in the wood. Remember, these aren't screwed down for a reason that we can shimmy into position. So now that is on the gap, we should be able to bang it down, flatten it down into position, and then if any of the other slats have popped up, we just tap them back down, and then we can screw every third along the roof. And remember, if there is gaps in this roof bit, it's nothing major because we are going to waterproof it and put tiles on top of it. So in one of your boxes with the staves, you'll find some different sizes of these wooden blocks. What we want is two of the large wooden blocks that we're going to do as a support for the front of your bench. How we do this is get measuring tape, and from this top section below the switch, we're going to go just above to the wall, and we're going to measure out 30 centimetres. Then underneath this, we're going to place the wooden block, and we're going to have the side closest to the back wall on 30, as you can see there, and we're going to drop it down by about a centimetre and then screw it into place. Once the top screw is in place, we're then going to measure from the back wall and check that this is still at 30 centimetres. We might need to just move it a tiny bit to adjust, and then we're going to repeat again and screw into position. Now the block is secure in place, we'll repeat on the other side. Now we're going to find this large back piece of the back bench. So basically, this goes on front of the two blocks we've just done. You can see there's two different sides. So one side has pieces of wood going down to support it. The other side is your backrest and another support on the front. This is the front of your sauna seat. So we're going to come into the sauna and place this into position. So as you can see, the curved bottom goes around the bottom edge, and then these wooden blocks we've just attached, this is going to butt up against, and we're going to fix into position. So now we're going to position the front piece of your bench, and we're going to screw through the wood into the block we've put on. Please be aware, we already have screwed screws through, so do not screw directly in to these screw holes. We want to go below and above so that we go clean into the wooden block. There is pre-screwed holes available. Here is a second pre-drilled hole that we can go directly into. We'll repeat this on both sides of the bench. Now the front of your top bench is nice and secure to be able to place the actual bench into position. Now we're going to get the top bench. This is the one that has an LED strip and a wire on it so that we can attach it to the back of your sauna. Now we are going to place your back bench on, and what we want to do is make sure that LED lights are at the front of your bench. So what we do is we roll it over, and be careful not to bang the sides of your sauna. Gently slide it over, and once we slide this in, you will see on the back corner there is a wire to attach your electrics to a wire which is just underneath here. And very simply, we just line it up and we click it into position. You should hear a nice snap, and that means it's secure, and once all wired in, it will have electricity. Now we can just push the bench back into position so that it's nice and secure. For extra stability of your bench, we're going to get 4 of the longer screws, and then we are going to drill in to your side wall. Please be aware, do not go anywhere near the wire which goes along the inside of your bench, and where we will be drilling will be the top corner of the wood. As you can see here in my example, we're just going to go through the corner at a 45-degree angle. So slowly drill, and this will just attach it to the side wall to make sure it's nice and secure. And then we'll repeat 2 gaps out and do the exact same. We're now going to repeat this on the other side. Now your top bench is finished. With them side screws, it should be nice and secure and have no risk of slipping or moving while you're sat on it. Now we're going to attach the bottom bench. So you need the smaller front side of the bench and also the 2 small blocks. And now we're going to go and fit it. Like we did with the back bench, we're going to measure from the bottom of the front bench out 30 centimeters, and then we're going to place the inside of the block on the 30 centimeter piece and screw down. Make sure that this block is not on the curve where it won't be flush to the bottom. We want to make sure it is on the floor so it is nice and square. And now we're going to drill this into position. For this section, because they're long blocks, we're going to need the longer screws. We'll need 4 of these to screw both into position. Now we're going to repeat this on the other side. So we'll do the exact same thing where we get to 30 centimeters. We're not on the bend within the sauna. We're going to screw this down. Now we're going to get the front piece of the bench, and just like with the back piece, we are going to place it down in front of the blocks, slide it up, make sure it's even on both edges so we don't want too big of a gaps when we get to the sides. We don't want it slid all one way so there's a big gap. We want it even and equal on both sides. And now we're going to screw in from the inside to your front part of the lower bench. And then we will repeat this on the other side. Now we're going to get 2 more of the small blocks, and we're going to screw these into the wall just in line with the lower front part of the bench. You will need 4 of the long screws again. And then all we're going to do, place the screws in and then just place this up against the side wall. And now we're just going to finish by screwing it into position. So now this is attached on the back wall. We're going to repeat this on both sides, and then we're finally going to screw through the middle of this block with a long screw. That attaches in to the front piece to hold it all secure. Now it's time to fit your lower bench. You know it's your lower bench because it's got no LED lights or electrics with it. So what we're going to do is bring it in, and again be careful not to hit your side walls as you do this, but gently rotate it, and then we slide it down and push it back into position. Again, for extra security, we're going to take 4 of your long screws, and we're going to repeat what we did with the top bench by drilling at a 45-degree angle and screwing into the side wall. We'll repeat this on both sides. Now both benches are fully secure and in position, ready to be used. Inside your sauna on the back wall, you'll see you've got an air vent closed to get good airflow throughout the sauna. What we've done to make it easy is we've attached this with some light glue to keep it in position. But what we recommend when you set up your MyoSauna is to drill this with a screw. We recommend, as not to split the wood, drilling a guide hole so that there is a nice clear hole for you to then put your drill piece through and screw into. So in your accessories box, you will find an extra air vent with an opening and closing section. You can place this in front of the circular air vent where your stove's going to go. However, we do recommend that we do want a constant airflow to get to the stove, and it also has the rainproof cover on the other side. So we don't think it's highly recommended. It is there if you would like it to go at the bottom underneath your stove, sort of hidden behind. Now we're going to attach the brackets to place our sauna stove on. With a partner, we're going to put these two pieces of wood onto the wall, and we're going to put them above the outlet where we have our vent here. And we're going to place them above. We're going to get them in line with the same line of one of the planks of wood, and we're going to measure a distance of 41 centimeters. So bring that out a bit further. We want to get it to 41, and we want a little bit of gap from the side wall so that the stove can sit comfortably with the guard. So that is now 41. I'm going to take the tape measure off. Your partner's going to hold it in place. I can now take this one, Ed, that's fine. And we're just going to screw it through and into position. There's a screw at the top and bottom of each one. And then we'll just double check the bottom. Again, it's bang on 41, which is perfect. So now we'll screw these into position. Now so they're nice and secure. And now we're going to just put a screw on to hang our sauna stove on top of. Now we're going to measure to put in 2 screws to hang our sauna stove. So what we want to do is just below the top screw, we're going to go about 1 inch below, and we're going to measure 37 centimeters. Put a little black mark. I'm going to do the same off the other side. A little black mark. So now this is what our sauna stove will hang from. So with 2 screws, we're just going to do them half the way in. So on the black mark. Going to go about half or 2/3 in, so we have a bit overhanging. So now you're ready for when your electrician comes to wire in your stove. There's no hole here for the wire to go out, so your electrician will have to come and drill a hole to put your big black wire out of, and then it attaches to your mains and to the sauna stove. So the next part you're going to see is for your electrician to wire in your lighting for your MyoSauna. This is only a 2-minute job, and they can do it when they come and wire in your sauna stove. Please be aware that this wire should be wired into a 13 amp fuse spur or a plug to an outdoor waterproof socket. Now we're going to build the sauna stove guard. So you'll have 3 fence looking pieces, and we want the long screws to do this. So firstly, we're going to lay the bigger section on the ground with the pieces of wood here, the 2 facing up. Now we're going to get the side piece, and we're going to place it down. We want the section with pre-drilled holes facing up to the sky, because we're going to go through the side of the floor section. Now with the long screws, we're placing them in. We pull the wood nice and tight. We drill in to attach it, and we'll repeat at the top. Please, it's important to try and align it as best we can with a hand, so it's nice and connected. We'll repeat this on both sides. Now we can attach this in to your MyoSauna Lux. So we're going to place this into position in line with the top of your blocks you've put on the wall. Then with the long screws, we're going to screw through. We're going to repeat this on all 4 pre-drilled holes. If your electrician for any reason needs to remove this, they can do so by just taking out those 4 screws. Now it's time to attach your lamp to the top left-hand corner inside your MyoSauna Lux. So you're going to need your lamp, and you're going to need the wooden shade. Firstly, we have to undo the lamp to be able to drill it into the wall. Please be careful, as this is glass, to flip it upside down, keep it in position, and then just take the back off and place this somewhere safe. As I mentioned, it is glass. Now we have the section that we can screw into the wall of your MyoSauna Lux. Now we're going to attach the electrics. Again, you just place it in, and it should click. Once it's clicked in, it's nice and secure. Now we've attached the wires, we're just going to place it just above and to the right of the hole, and make sure all the wires are out of the way so we don't screw them. We'll get the screws into the holes on the back metal plate and then screw into position. We'll repeat this on both screw holes. Now we'll get the glass cover. Again, be careful as this section does come out, so do not drop it, as this will break. We're going to gently place it into position and get our metal screws. We're going to screw this in, nice and secure, and repeat this on both sides. Now we're going to attach the shade, and we're going to move the wires so that they sit inside of this section. So just place them inside of the shade. We'll get it nice and level. And then with 4 normal screws, we're going to screw this into position. Now we're going to get your sand timer and your thermometer and place these inside your MyoLux. We're going to fit these the opposite side to where your sauna stove is. So how we do this is with your sand timer, you're going to turn it sideways. And what we want is this back plate, so this back piece of wood, going straight up and down. I'm going to screw this into position with your screws. Now your sand timer is good to be used. Now next to your sand timer, we're just going to put 1 screw half the way in that hangs this. And then we align the hole on the back of here. And now your thermometer is in position. Now you have your door handle, a MyoMaster Y. To fit this, all we do is unscrew the back of the door handle, and we're going to place it on either side. Please be aware the black side goes on the outside where Ed is, and the normal wood side goes internally. Now we're going to take the black side of the handle and the 3 black washers, and I'm going to take the normal wood side and the screws, and we're just going to place them through the holes provided. Once they go through, I'll keep some pressure on the screws, and Ed's going to slide his side on, then align with the gaps as best he can. And now I'll just gently screw them into position until they start to take. You only want to gently screw these up as it's against glass. We don't want to go tight, so you might want to hand finish with a screwdriver. But now your door handle is attached. Now we're going to do the front decorative piece. So what these are is you'll have a long, thin piece of wood, a medium size, and then some curves that Ed's holding here. How we're going to do this is these place on the front of the sauna. So if you can hold that, Ed. Front of the sauna curve. Then you have a smaller one going from the middle, and the longer one goes down the right-hand side. And then the curve hits it at the bottom. We have a smaller curve, longer curve, and it will create a nice front trim to your sauna. So what we'll do is we'll screw in the first corner, and what we want is to be flat and parallel to the ground. And then we're going to get the medium-sized piece of wood, attach this at the top, and then just check that it aligns with the other corner with your partner. So Ed can now slide his into position. Want to make sure all the front of the wood is covered, and now we can screw them into position. So we recommend only screwing in the top part of this when we're attaching it. So then when we get the corner piece in, we want it to align nicely. If this is already screwed in over here, there's too big of a gap. So we want to be able to move it into position so that it finishes nice and tight. And once we're in position, we can then screw nicely into place, and it'll be nice and perfect.
So we've made some improvements to our MyoSaunas, and as a result, we no longer have the silver lining you will see in this video. We've actually updated it to a black liner. Please make sure to follow similar steps with the black liner and cover all of your roof where you'll be tiling over.
Now we're going to attach the waterproof cover to the top of the sauna. We're going to place this over the sauna and make sure it's nice and flat. And then we're going to repeat this with the second sheet we have on the other side. Now you're going to need your tiles and the nails that were provided, and we're going to tile your roof all the way over. Now we're going to get your tiles out, and what we're going to do is push it up to the edge of the trim we have here, and then we're going to make it nice and level. So again, we can use the bottom to make sure we're in line. And we want this gap to be on the wood, and we want the actual top thick bit to be over the silver. And what we're going to do is with the nails provided, we're going to nail in 3 points. We're going to nail in the corner, the middle, and the other top corner. Then we're going to get the second tile, and we're going to push it up to the end fascia. And as you can see, about halfway down the tile, we're going to cut to be able to lay it in nice and neat. So now we've cut this section in half. What we're going to do is continue the big tile. So we don't want the half tile, we want the big tile to continue along the length. And with your partner, he's going to butt it up into position, and then we're going to hammer the 2 corners. Then we'll get 1 full tile, and we'll start from the left going to the right. And this will create a split effect. So what we want to do is these sections want to be over the full sections. So we don't want these lines over the other lines. We want them over the full section. And we want the flaps, the tile flaps, to come down over this section above the black tar line. So when we come down, we place it to the black tar line, we get it in line, and it should now look like that. You've got one flap over the brake and then another gap without. So we're going to repeat, we're going to hammer 3 nails in, and then we'll get the other half we just cut, and that should start on the other side to fill the gap. Now with the other half we've cut, again, we follow on the big pattern along, and this should be able to fit in just about. You might need to change it a little bit and cut a tiny bit with scissors. But as you can see, it continues the pattern where we have large bits going and obviously the gaps underneath, so it's a brick layout. We'll now repeat this process all the way up towards the middle of the roof on both sides of the sauna. So again, this side we will start with a full section and then a cut half, and then from the left-hand side a full section and a cut half. Once your MyoSauna roof is done, you might see some flaps coming off. What you can do is with your extra nails, you can just nick these down to pin them into position. Once you've done both sides of your roof and you've met in the middle, now what we're going to do is take a full tile and just cut up the seam where there's a gap and cut them into pieces to lay over the middle ridge. And how we're going to do it is we're going to get a half, and we're going to have the blue dotted bit facing towards the front, and then we're going to have the flap facing towards the back, and we're going to lay it down towards the back first, hammer it into position, and then what will happen is we lay on top and work our way along. We're going to hammer each corner all the way along, and that will finish off your roof. Then we get the next one, and we lay the flap over the top, so it's covering the seam, and then we repeat this all the way over to the end. As you can see, now the middle seam is covered by these tiles, and your roof is finished. Now you have a completed MyoSauna Lux. We hope you love it, and if you've got any questions, just reach out to contact@myomaster.com to our customer service team, and we will try our best to resolve and help you with any issues you're having. Thank you so much for the support. Cheers.